Hey, Kim. Waiting for people to get on here. And I'm approving these bunch of people who've been trying to get into this group. And hello, Derek. No news, Aaron, other than, look, I'm wearing the hat for Paul.
Okay.
But
he should be.
Yeah. So Paul Kaluzinski, if you tuned in, look, I'm wearing my Melissa hat. You're getting what? Yeah, I made the Moscato Sangria. That's in the two containers in there. Yeah. I made that when you were sleeping. So, Aaron, sorry, I never finished my thought. No news. We're just on here because we've watched most of MaM2 or 3. There were like 26 people requesting to get in, so I'm going through right now, checking them. Yeah, I do a quick little, I don't go to any of that stuff.
I just check which groups are in.
Yeah, I check what groups are in, and then I've had some dumb fucks on here actually say they think Stephen was guilty, and it's like, you really think I'm going to approve you to come in here when you say he's guilty?
Yeah. What dumbasses.
Victoria says, what a night of watching this.
I feel more human today than I did last night, so.
So for those of you who have not watched Making Murderer 2, this is the only warning you're going to get that there'll be spoilers. So I don't want to hear, oh my God, you look like an angel with that light coming through. Look at that.
I'm an angel. What are you talking about? I look like.
You got like the Barbara Walters where they,
like halo above me.
Yep. Well, no, Barbara Walters like puts the Vaseline on the lens of the camera and stuff, so she looks better. Yeah. So that's you now that it's kind of, because I turned on my sad light because we're sad. So anyway, this is the only opportunity you get to turn this off now. I don't want to hear later that we spoiled MaM2 for you. Sorry, was that bitchy to say, but I'm a bitch, whatever. I should be scrolling down while I'm doing
this. Kathleen Zellner is a boss. She's an incredible woman.
Derek says, I forgot, are you Steve's girlfriend? We both are. Amy's my sister wife.
Great.
No, neither one of us are Steven's girlfriend.
Here comes the rumors.
Hi, Michelle. Derek says, is it on now? Yes, Making a Murderer 2 is now up on Netflix. Victoria, what do you think is going to happen next? Amy, go.
What do I think is going to happen next? I think that in the near future, hopefully within the next 12 months, there'll be some kind of movement on Zellner's end. I think she believes she's going for an evidentiary hearing as soon as possible, is what I was given the intake on the last episode. I think that will come into play within the next year, I'm hoping. And hopefully praying that there'll be a retrial of some sort based on new evidence. There should be anyway. The way it looks, there's a ton of evidence that needs to be reintroduced.
Hi, Jenny. Jenny says, hi, girls. Chris says, why and how was Ryan Hilgast ruled out?
I don't think he has been. He's still on the list.
Kathleen, so if you watch Making Murder 2 or you've just been following the case, one time she filed and she was pointing at Hilgast. And then now in all the latest stuff, it's been Scott and Bobby and Scott. And basically what she's just showing is the whole thing that there were all these other viable suspects that weren't ever fully fleshed out and looked at. So while everything right now, I think actually all the pieces fit to say that it's Scott and Bobby, there's still the chance it could be Ryan. We don't know.
Yeah. We definitely got her day planner somehow.
Yeah. So that was it, because this is the first, I knew that Ryan Hilgast had her day planner, but I just assumed it was like a book, day planner thing that was like always in her car. This is the first I've seen, even though the documents have all been available on stephenaverycase.org, but that she printed it out from the computer, so it was a computer planner.
Copy.
And then there was the handwritten stuff proving that, because Kathleen has, that those people were calling her during that day on Halloween, and she was handwriting to schedule their appointments. So how
That
would they
same
have
day.
that?
So
Yeah,
how did he see her or get that day planner within those 24 hours?
right. It was definitely a gut-wrenching episode, Christy says, and Sweaty Sweat Sweat got way too much screen time.
I agree. I even said to Jax at one point, what the hell? I'm tired of seeing him on here. Why is he? I don't understand why she put a lot of emphasis on him. But Jax also told me then, too, that a lot of it is so he is seen as she's mocking him, basically, putting him in place on all his mistakes. So.
Yeah. And it's a way that, when they did it the first time too, that when they're saying the other side wasn't represented, well, yeah, you were, because you say you don't want to be in there, as now when you watch it at the end before the credits, you're seeing all the people that have been asked to participate and won't.
And yeah,
so they're going to show your other shit on what you did say. So you're still kind of in it, even though you didn't get
they're trying
permission.
to include you in it, but you refused.
Right. So.
I don't know what's going on with my phone here. It's not working.
Derek says, it's nice you guys are still putting up a fight. Oh, yeah, we're always fighters. Kim says, I hope that KZ sticks it to Kratz. Christy says, he sticks his foot in his mouth so much, and his skanky wife got her 5-second screen time.
I agree. I was pissed that she got like half an episode because her ass does not deserve it. She shouldn't even, other than the Dr. Phil could have been shown, but that should have been all. No, we're live. Sorry, my daughter.
You don't have a license, so you can't go pick it up.
She's got a phone though.
They order it.
She can order it.
What's the name of the place?
Shelly says, hello, just got here, traveling and haven't been able to watch yet. Was it good? It wasn't. The Stalker Creepy fans are gonna love it that they got actual parts in it.
Just because they were at a rally.
A rally that had like 20 people at it. I think, but it didn't show just how psycho they are. So I guess that was cushioned some, that you're not seeing that those people are freaks of nature.
I am happy. It was very, the whole season 2 was very legal. It was very based on, the legal standing point of it. It wasn't so much drama. It wasn't so much bullshit. I was happy about that. I have some points of the show that I don't agree with because I lived it. I was there, and from what was said on MaM2 was not correct. So,
all right. So if you've watched it, the very first episode, Amy is in like at the 4-minute mark, as Carla would say.
Jesus Christ.
Was it 4 minutes and 23 seconds?
I don't know. I wasn't looking at what time it was at.
So if you've watched it, you saw Amy was there with Barb.
At her home with Brendan's stuff.
Amy had to sign stuff and was interviewed by Making a Murder, but they didn't show any of that.
No. Well, it's because me and Barb, I put her on blast. A lot of bullshit. So, that's a chance I was willing to take. So, oh well.
And I have a post about Making a Murder when Amy and I finished watching it on my personal page. And then I can't remember exactly what Jeff, my boyfriend, commented on it, but he said MaM2 starring printer guys, shirts and signs and banners that he was never paid for.
MaM2 is all Jack's and Jeff's
all right, so
shirts
this is,
and banners.
This is one shirt.
Yeah. See if I can do
Jesse,
this
get
here.
those other shirts down from over there.
Here's one of them. Oh, we got it, and the symbol that we created,
Right.
and I did find the patent for that.
Oh, are
and
you
it's
a
in
shorty?
storage. Yeah, she's short.
You see this shirt Barb wearing several times in there.
Yep.
So there's that on the front and that on the back.
Actually, my shirt is in the series on the table with all of the autographs from the producers of the show.
And then there's this with the
They can't
symbol
see
we
me around the
did.
side.
I don't care.
And then that on the back.
That we chose together to put down there.
Uh-huh. So
So
every
thank us for all of the decorations in the background of MaM2.
yeah, but I'm a thief. And so all those shirts, so every time you see them wearing a shirt that has Brendan on it, the when you see the one symbol with the planet on it for the worldwide rallies, my boyfriend actually designed that symbol and owns the rights to it. And so they're all wearing shirts and holding signs and such with that he was never paid for, but then people like to call me a thief. Carla's wearing my shirt. Stacy's wearing my shirt. Alan's wearing my shirt. Chuck is wearing my shirt. And then all the signs they're holding are all stuff, the big banner thing we made. Oh my God. So yeah.
And I did find out too after seeing it was either Australia or UK banner that was used at the rallies, never got returned to that supporter. I apologize to that supporter. Because when I was working for Barb, and that person was very determined to get that flag back.
Yeah. But I'm a thief. Whatever, they can go fuck themselves.
And ha, Jenny, yeah, good idea, but I've turned my Twitter and Facebook have been just strictly my personal life now, not having any association with that.
Okay. Manitowoc is going to see something now. Jax, you should get royalties for the screen print.
She should. She really, really should.
Whoa. But yeah, I just thought it was really hysterical that every fucking scene she's wearing a goddamn shirt that I made and have never been paid for. And then there was a special shirt that Scott asked me to make for her
Right
that-
before our fallout.
that
her
he
birthday.
could give Barb for her birthday. And then Scott removed me from Brendan's group, and I still sent the fucking shirt.
No reason why I can't see the freaking thing. Oh, because my internet's messed up.
Are you on my Wi-Fi?
No. Which one should I go to?
Either one. We only have 13 people on, and nobody else has said anything. And yeah, we'll only be on as long as people are here asking questions. If there aren't people that are here asking questions, then we're going to go. I'm wearing this hat for Paul. This is from Melissa Kaluzinski because he told me to make sure to mention Melissa's case on here tonight. So there you go, Paul. Lissy says, did you guys get a pre-screening of the show?
No.
Mm-mm. You were only told you would get it if you were going to be in it, right?
No, not really. I was told I would get an email for about release date and possibly my own copy beforehand. But obviously that didn't happen. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and what I said, oh my God, are these all things that...
Yeah, I told you it was going outrageous about things to post.
Oh, okay. Sorry, people who we haven't approved your posts.
I approved like 12 of them earlier, but then they just kept coming, obviously, 1 hour ago, 20 minutes.
All right. Yeah, we've been watching and doing stuff. I said I'm actually kind of glad that I'm not in it at all. I know that might sound like a bad thing, but because of how people keep accusing me of, I'm doing this for fame and money or all that. So it's good for me to go, I'm not in it, see? So I'm just here for the cause.
Well, it was hard for me to watch because all those phone numbers, all those phone calls from Brendan to Barb and Scott, I was there across the table when he would call. When she got her tattoo, I have the same tattoo. We got him the same day. She was at my house.
I don't know
in
which light
Michigan.
is it. This one?
Yeah. Are you serious, Jess? Oh my God. Don't fall.
This way. There it is.
Yep.
Whoa.
See if I can get the picture of me and Barb when we got our tattoos.
Do you still have it? Because you sold it to TMZ.
The tattoo thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with Barb's permission. I remember that. Yeah, I still have them. I have everything in here. I have every picture of Brendan that's ever been fucking printed.
Derek says, all of the police detectives and the judge are the ones that should be in jail.
Great.
Here. Gordon says, when Zellner gets at Jeep, there will be cops going to jail. They know the game is nearly up. They will be out soon, I'd say, before they hand over the Jeep, because there's definitely a trove of evidence in it. And if they do give her the Jeep, watch the heads roll. Zellner is good, very good. Well, Gordon, that's actually been something that I've always wondered on why they're not giving it to her. But now she did say in this part 2 that she's been told by experts that there's nothing she can do with the blood that's been in there all this time. So I guess it's not as big a deal for that, but she wants the broken light. Because that was something that I had never heard before, that she is saying that the light was broken. Yeah. When they were, that there was a red Pinto that was blocking that road, that conveyor belt road that would go from the quarry into the salvage yard. And that, so the RAV4 bumped it to push it out of the way, and that's what broke that light. You got a picture.
Okay, this is the picture of the actual tattoos when they took place. Now, remember, we walked out of the tattoo shop into the car, drove not even 50 yards down the road to a Meyer in Cadillac, Michigan, and that's when Laura and Steven Drizzen called us with the news about Brendan's. While we were getting tattoos, it was being released in news and media.
And I was in Texas on a vacation.
But here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it.
Do I need to turn this? Will this light off make any difference? No. What do you have to do to make that? Do I have to shade it? I don't know.
Anyway.
Go back here, maybe. Maybe if you're... No, it doesn't make a difference. Why?
Well, you can see, there you go. That was the picture of the day of Brendan's thing was overturned when we got our matching tattoos. Yes, I was dumb enough to get a tattoo with Barb Topping. I don't regret the Brendan part. I don't regret the Brendan part at all. But the way I got it.
Mm-hmm. Kim says, so you have the same tattoo, but you weren't included in any episode, so wrong.
Exactly.
But there was a big falling out, and Barb throws tantrums all the time.
Well, that's why Carla, you didn't see a lot of Carla either during that same time, because
they
Barb
hated
threw
each other.
Fit. They were fighting at the time, and Barb told Maura and Laura from MaM2, or Making a Murderer, the film crew, that if they included Carla in it, she wouldn't film. Well, the producers told her, you signed a contract. You don't have a choice. So I knew when me and Barb had our fallout that eventually it would probably be done the same to me. So it didn't matter.
Let's see. Are all you guys on good terms now since Kathleen tried pointing the finger away from the guys and pointed towards Scott?
Who's on good terms?
We're not on good terms with...
Not with Barbara Scott, no.
Mm-mm.
If anything, Zellner going against Scott is going to pull Barb away from everybody.
Yeah. The thing that they don't say in there that nobody really knows is most of the family don't like Barb. Barb didn't really have much to do with anybody in the family
Well,
for years.
A lot of people didn't talk to Barb. They blamed Brendan for a lot of stuff for the years before MAM came out. Barb didn't talk to her family for like 5 years. So, Mom, Pa Avery blamed a lot on Brendan as far as why he opened his mouth to begin with. So they kind of had a blame game there going on back and forth in that family for a while. Yes, Steve's dad is still alive. He is still in the videos.
Christy says, fuck Barb and her murderous son and husband. Sorry, not sorry.
I agree.
Kim says, oh my God, when will Barb realize none of this is about her? Oh, it's
Never.
always about
it's
her.
always about her. Why do people want to hurt me? I must have heard that a million freaking times throughout that year. Why are they doing this to me? What are they doing to you? You get to sleep in your bed at night. You get to go up and hunt and do the things you love. You got to have kids. You got to get married. These are all things your husband or your son will never be able to do. So no one did shit to you, Barb. They did it to Brendan.
Well, and that's stuff that Stephen has said to me when, like, Carla has asked to borrow money, or Barb is whining about money, and he's like, "You're free, get a job." You know, you're asking a guy in prison for money, and go work. He didn't get it.
I will admit that I was wrong about what I thought the outcome of this case would be. I thought completely different. I don't know if I should say that online. But I mean, part of my theory was right. The Bobby part. Well, not the Bobby part. That someone in the family had something to do with it. That's what I thought at one point. But I didn't know what family member at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I thought someone had my theory was someone had more to do with it than really what's coming out.
Yeah. And Derek, yeah, be nice for his mom and dad to still be alive to see him set free. That's I feel they're the only ones in the family that I care about their feelings, because those two have, Stephen taken from them twice. Where nobody else in the family has been with Stephen from start to finish. People have pointed fingers at him. They may flip back and forth, but the parents have never wavered. So
I will give the producers a huge shout out, though, for putting that phone call from Barb and Scott in an episode. The way he screamed at Stephen was what I dealt with every day for months. So I'm glad that other people get to see exactly how he talks to people and treats people.
Yeah. I mean, and do you notice that when Brendan calls, it goes on speaker, and then Barb is trying to talk to her son, but then there's Scott having to talk over her. Brendan don't want to hear from Scott. He wants to talk to his mom, and then it would just be repeating the same, Barb would say something and then Scott's saying it. Or then it's just annoying. Christy, there is still one player in the family I think has something to do with something. So I hear you, Amy. Amy says, okay, big dog, squeezing yourself
outside.
into the tiny spot.
Outside. I'll be right back.
I love the findings of Colburn, and when he called in the plates and the guy that said he saw the car and that was the cop he told. I know. How about that? We've heard this stuff before about how the guy had reported it, and that he had texted Scott about it, but seeing it put in, all together like that. Oh my God. And then, yeah, it was these are things that I have thought for a while now, that it was whatchamacallit, Ryan Hilgas helping put the car to the salvage yard. So Kim, I felt so bad for Brendan when Barb said she couldn't make the 3-hour trip every week to see him. If he were my child, I would be there as often as they would let me. Yeah, I was kind of curious. I mean, we did just pause it because we haven't watched the whole thing yet, because we had started playing at 2 a.m, and then we both fell asleep at some point. And then I was up earlier and was watching some episodes. And so then when Amy got up, we watched the last few episodes. So we just had to watch a couple of the middle episodes. So it's paused on episode 5 right now. But so we're just at the part, or had just seen the part when, everybody led Brendan to believe he was going home, that he was gonna go free, and so he even gave away his stuff, his TV, all this stuff, gave it all away. And then you get the horrible news that he's gonna have to stay in there. Right? That was November, remember? Well, November is when Barb takes off of work to go hunting, so she's not even at work. So if that were your kid and he just got that horrible news, wouldn't you go there? You're not working. Wouldn't you go there to go be with your kid for that day? No, Barb went hunting with Scott, because she's not going to change her hunting plans for no kid. Diane says, Scott and Bobby sicken me. How can they sleep? Yeah. Christy says, watching it come together was the good part. Now that you're back in, I'll go back to this thing that I just talked about. Kim had said, I felt so bad for Brendan when Barb said she couldn't make the 3-hour trip every week to see him. If he were my child, I would be there as often as they would let me. I figured you might have something you wanted to add.
Well, I lived 8 hours away, and I at least made the trip twice a month. I know it was only for months at a time, but after 10 years, I couldn't imagine. But let's put it this way: when he got denied bond, when he wasn't coming home that Friday, you see how the house is dark in that episode?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that too.
Oh, I paid attention.
I know. Well, no, I
paid attention.
I saw it then, but
because I was looking for things that I could recant later of what I could put my 2 cents in.
Oh, yeah, no, it's true.
They went up north hunting. They left. What broke my heart the most was no one was there to go visit Brendan when that news broke out and he was left alone. That made me the most upset on all of that.
The thing that I was thinking of was, so when the news came out that he was going to come home, so the way it was edited, it was a phone call between Barb and Brendan, but then the visual we were seeing is of Barb's house, and inside Barb's house, like the call was happening there, but they were
up north in Crivets hunting. You have to understand something. Between October, the middle of October, and December 1st, your hunting season, they are gone. They're gone for a month at a time. Barb takes vacation her 4 weeks every year, the same time, just for hunting. So it was a huge ordeal when all this was going on during hunting season. It made Scott angry because it was giving up his time.
Lissy says, in Brendan's final statement, he thanks his mom and friends. Does that mean he's not on good terms with Scott, or just a coincidence? Yep.
At this point, I don't know what Brendan's feelings are about Scott, but Brendan will do whatever his mom says. Okay. If she says, If she tells Brendan Scott didn't have nothing to do with it, keep in mind that Brendan can't see Making a Murderer 2. He can't view it. So he's not going to see all this other evidence. The only way he's going to know about it is if we tell him or write him and tell him. So I have a big, deep feeling that Barb isn't telling Brendan anything about the Bobby and Scott thing. And if she is, she's sugarcoating it. So.
Well, and Barb will also instruct Brendan that he's not allowed to open mail from people he doesn't know if it's somebody that she may suspect will tell Brendan the truth.
Yeah.
So it won't.
So
if she don't want it to get to him, it's not getting to him.
If I ever had to mail him again, I would probably have to put some fake name on the envelope.
Yeah.
And Barb, I would. Don't underestimate me, honey.
Amy says yes, and the fact that Ryan had her daily planner that was supposed to be in her car busted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lynn says, I knew oh yeah, that was huge. I knew the coroner was walled off from ASY, but Peterson actually threatened to arrest her if she did was mind-blowing. And I actually put that in my notes.
Why didn't she arrest him for falsifying it and threatening her to begin with?
Because, in my notes was coroner was threatened to be arrested, but the coroner can arrest a sheriff. They told her to stay out, that she had to stay out because it was a conflict of interest for Manitowoc Sheriff's Department to be a part of it. But she's not Manitowoc Sheriff's Department, and then everybody else who was involved was Manitowoc Sheriff's Department.
They showed the pictures of all the Manitowoc County Sheriff's cars there on the property.
So the court then wouldn't allow her testimony in front of the jury. And she ended up resigning after all of that, and then now doesn't feel safe. And who could fucking blame her? Because look what they did to Steven. Yeah, Lynn, that was, because, I didn't take a whole lot of notes. I keep going the wrong way. But that was one of the things that I wrote down, because it was like, holy shit.
That made me angry, very angry.
And Lynn, so now is this the same coroner from Ricky's case, right? That's where this all comes in, that coroner was asked to lie for the police in that case, and she wasn't about to lie. She said her report will say where the evidence takes her, and that's why they were making sure to keep her out of this crime scene. Gordon says one of the prosecutors seems to be getting a heart. He gave the CD to KZ without a fight. Also, he is willing to go through the evidence in court. What do you think? I think it's because Kathleen was closing in. I don't think he had a choice but to give up that CD. She found that they lied about that, just like the same thing of calling it Brendan's computer when it wasn't Brendan's computer.
I loved how they showed the computer in Bobby's room right off the bat.
Right.
Yeah. It was not in the living room, Barb. And you did have internet.
God damn. Derek says the car crusher was just a stone's throw away. I'm sure if Steve did it, he would have crushed the car and scraped it. The police set him up, bottom line. Well, that was something I commented about in this too. You can see both Chuck and Earl are using that end loader or whatever you call it and taking the bucket and just crushing the car with that. So, because that car crusher they had is not Avery's property. They were using it from another junkyard that they would only get this weekend here and this weekend there. But it's just showing you they don't even need a car crusher to do that. He was crushing the fucking car with just that machine. Now, I do get it that they don't crush the car until they've gutted it. You have to take out the engine and all those parts before you're going to crush it. So people will say Stephen did not have the opportunity or the time to do all of that.
You don't have, well, they take cars apart when you own a salvage yard more for the value. You can sell the engine separately $400, $500, $600, $700
Yeah.
You know, you don't need the full car for pieces like that.
Right.
So in my experience, I would think that they took the engines out, the transmissions out, and all that beforehand, just for their business to be able to resell them. Parts that weren't bad.
So, but
honestly, if you did commit a murder, would you give a shit about the engine? No, you crushed the damn thing.
well, no, if you commit the murder, you go to Crivets. You just leave all this stuff there,
But
and
you know,
it'll be okay there. I'm just gonna go to Crivets for a little bit. It'll be okay.
they're safe haven.
Kim says, "Oh my God, she went hunting. Unbelievable."
Yes, she did. She left. She didn't even go see Brendan, and he was there alone. So
Lynn says, "I'm heartbroken to see Al and Dolores fading with illness and age, and still holding on hope the boys are free." Yeah, that would get me choked up when you'd see Al or Dolores getting choked up, and knowing there's a good chance they're not going to live to see them come home. That's horrible. Tim says, "Amy, can you still see Brendan?"
no, Barb won't allow it.
And then she says, "It also broke my heart that Stephen was talking about his parents and how he wanted to be home because he knows they are getting old and are not well." Yeah.
It is very sad. As a mom of 3, I couldn't imagine me getting older, and my son still being locked up.
Yeah. Derek says, "Good night, girls. Keep up the good work." Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Lynn says, "I feel it wasn't the first time. She was removed from CB's case same time." Mhm. Christy says, "I will say this, none of them have aged well." Yeah. Hard life.
Hard life and simple people. The Averys and Dassies are very simple people. Very simple. You know, me last week I spent $100 on anti-wrinkle cream. I don't see none of them doing that. So they're very simple people. You know what I mean?
Kim says he is trying to save his ass, the DA. Yeah. And then Christy says you don't have to dismantle the car before crushing. Correct.
Well, that's what I said. If you had just murdered someone and you wanted the car out of the way, would you really care about the engine?
Right. Yeah, the goal is to just get rid of it as quickly as possible. All right, we're down at the bottom of that. I've been hit all day with this. What's that? Okay. Oh, another comment.
Jenny. Okay, I have something to say right now about something. The call between Zellner and Carla about Brendan's release. I have big issues with this. I don't know what time of day it was though in the episode. It could have been like 6 o'clock, it could have been whatever, I don't know. I was actually the first one to get a phone call from Laura Nyrider when that day happened. She called me at work because no one could get a hold of Barb. Barb was at work and nobody could get a hold of her. Her boss wouldn't have her brought in to get paged in. So Laura Nyrider called me to try to figure out where Barb is and why she can't answer her phone. So when I see Carla in there talking to Zellner, I'm like, because they're saying, you know, first of all, Carla and Barb weren't talking then at all. They hated each other then. They weren't even associating with each other. Carla, it must have been on the news first when she saw it and then called in to Chuck.
Well, but that's the thing too. The thing that Carla's calling on was not even true.
Yeah, because she said she read a brief.
But then she said she didn't even read it. She's just basically seeing the headline and just trying to find any opportunity that she knows Zellner is at the yard and wants to get her clutches into her. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. You know, because there's no way Brendan would be released that day because there was that whole cloak and dagger thing.
Oh, yeah. Brendan was not ever going to be released right that second or afternoon or during the day at all. The plan was for Brendan to be released in the middle of the night with no news, no media, no nothing. That was the plan. It was part of the plan that I helped put together. So all of the, I just laughed when I seen all of them trying to be relevant in when he's getting out, who's going to be there. And even Zellner, her in the car saying, you know, it's Columbia Correctional, get there as soon as possible. And I'm thinking in my head that okay, you can waste your time.
Yeah,
but-
why wouldn't she know that there's no way he'd be released that second?
Yeah.
And it's not just Brendan, it's any high profile case. If they're going
Even
to be
the
released,
prison was not going to allow him out.
Yeah.
Just walk out the front door.
It's a
It was
danger.
not going to happen.
it's a danger, so no, he was going to get out in the middle of the night. And other cases that I've dealt with too,
Out
if
the
they're
back
going to get
door.
released, it's in the middle of the night. It'll be like a weeknight or a Sunday night,
3:30 in the
a.m.
morning.
Yeah.
It's not.
So, Lissy says describe Kratz in one word, but I already saw somebody after that has already said the one word sweaty. So pick a different word other than sweaty.
Bastard. There's my word.
Creepy.
Yeah. I just don't like him. I don't think he's like human. I think he has no conscience at all for what he has done ethically and legally.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, look what he did to battered women. Made them have
Yeah.
sex with him for representation.
Yeah.
It's pretty disgusting.
he's a pretty evil dude.
Mm-hmm. Yuck. So, and then he tried to get Stephen to write a book with him because, again, it's all about money. Ugh. Laura says, I can't wait to watch. Life got too busy with work and kids today. I hear ya. Jenny says, ugh, I just want to push Carla over. Oh, I want to.
I want to do more than push her
Yeah, I
over.
was about to say other stuff, but I guess I should.
We've
because-
even had like
yeah.
a plan. No, I'm gonna be quiet. Just joking.
Oh,
I have been I was
Okay, cool.
accused of trying to stab a supporter before. So
yeah. Amy says, got a lot of Amy's again. I was a little disappointed with MaM2. I guess I was expecting something new in regard to evidence. Having said that, I've only watched the first 4 episodes. I've got a new puppy that requires constant attention, so apologies if I have this wrong and I've missed some new evidence. Well, if you're somebody who follows the case regularly, there's nothing really new because we've all seen this from her briefs.
for me, because okay, guys, I've been like in the background for over a year now, and I've heard little bits and pieces. Jax will, we have a chat group that we, as admin and moderators, are in there together. So I do get bits and pieces of it when I'm in the mood to deal with the crap. But the bullet, the extent of the bullet, was so shocking to me. It was really shocking to me. So that was something I didn't know the extent of.
Well, and that was the first I saw of them saying that it was possibly a bullet that was just stuck in the wall that they pulled out of the wall and then threw on the ground.
Yeah, that
put chapstick on it and then threw it on the ground. I just thought before it was just a random casing that they picked up because they were constantly shooting at shit around there.
I don't know if I should say this, but I'm gonna say it. I didn't know they actually went to her house and took like her vibrator and her chapstick and stuff. I was not aware of that. So
they took underwear too, dirty underwear. Yeah.
Let the poor girl rest in peace. Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kim says they would never release him in broad daylight. That I know. Lizzie says anal fissure for Kratz word. And Christy says predator. Lynn says disgraceful. Luann says, thanks so much for the extra information you both give. I was excited all day for the live feed. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Kib says, LOL, you guys are bosses too. Thank you.
We try to be only in our own lives, but
yeah, nobody's the boss of me.
No.
Marta says, episode 1, the blood splatter discrepancies blew my mind. Yeah, the whole that, so it would be a cast off this way or this or, yeah. Lynn, chapstick DNA. Yeah.
I was kind of surprised she went in there and took a sink out by herself. Well, I did.
Yeah.
But I'm shocked. Yeah.
I'm impressed with how hands-on she is. And I do not think that's because she's got a camera following her. I think that's how dedicated she is to her cases. Yeah. Leave no stone unturned.
I think she enjoys hunting down the evidence. I think that's part of the fun for her, for what she does for work.
Well, she did here in Illinois, there was a famous case that she did, the Riley Fox case. Riley Fox was a little girl who was murdered, and her father, Kevin Fox, went to prison for it. and Kathleen got him freed. But in her reenactment and all this stuff, they got a dead pig and threw it off a bridge into the water to test how it would float and where it would go and all. Yeah, so I mean, she goes all out to prove her shit.
That's why she makes the big bucks.
Oh yeah. Nancy Drew, saw your post at KZ's. Was that today? Yeah. Where I live, I live right by her office, and we were running an errand, which is also right by her office. So I'm like, let's just pop in there. Kathleen was not there.
No.
She's out of town on another case, Nancy Drew. But I was just showing them the office since out of state. David says, just finished. Ugh, I understand wanting Brendan out, but maybe they should have let Zellner file the evidence first, or at least MaM2 to come out. Well, that's why people think Zellner's got an extension on Stevens' case till December 20th, because you want to see what happens with MaM2. Other people could come forward or whatever.
Here's the difference between Zellner and Laura and Steven is they have deadlines too. They had deadlines, for the Supreme Court. They had deadlines for the federal courts, for Seventh Circuit. So you can't really put that on hold. You know what I mean? I guess Making a Murderer 2 producers just wanted to get it wrapped up and out, probably before Zellner files her stuff. So that's all I can think of on that part.
Yeah. Lissy says, thanks for the live feed, ladies. Got to sleep. It's 2:45.
Good night.
David said, Kratz used the media for influence. Maybe could have worked the other way using Netflix. Well, that press conference, that should be a mistrial right there. How are they getting a fair jury with that bullshit? Because now people in Stevens' case, that Brendan wasn't even used in Stevens' case, have heard all this of, Kratz's personal sexual fantasies that he's seeing that Brendan did.
He did it on purpose.
Yeah.
You have to remember, guys, that when Kratz did this crap, he did not realize MAM was ever going to come out. I don't think he was aware that, shit, I'm being recorded and all of this is going to be scrutinized at a later date. In the little town of Manitowoc, he probably thought he could cover all his P's and Q's.
Right.
So,
Nancy Drew says, it is really hard to think like a criminal cop. Yeah. Kim says, Zellner is thorough and very hands-on. Her explanation and experiments make things crystal clear regarding the setup of Stephen Avery. And one thing I want to say about that I think something's been said about this before, but I never paid attention to it. And it's the thing my boyfriend said to us when he was leaving for work this morning, is those scent dogs. I did not realize that there were so many of them and they all went the same way.
They can't be influenced by what Colburn says in any way, shape, or form. Scent dogs are 100%. That's what they do. And that tells me a lot.
So yeah, that was something that blew me away. That's in my notes. And then the only other thing that's in my notes that I wanted to bring up is that college friend of Teresa's.
David Lee, you're going to freak me out, and I'm going to freak out online. You just stop it right now.
You're going ahead. I don't scroll until I'm done talking about people. Oh, people always do that because of that thing in the window.
I'm going to kick your butt.
That's always there because of that guy looking in the window over there.
Okay.
So the college friend of Teresa's who said, yeah, we want to know who really did it, but that's secondary. Really? That's secondary? Who really did it? It's like, is this really somebody that knew her or somebody who just wanted to get on camera? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, that pissed me off. Like, really, you don't want to know who a real killer is. So taking someone else's life on top of Teresa losing hers, that's what you want.
I want who really hurt my family member.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want the police narrative. I want who really did it. So, yeah, that pissed me off. So David, yeah, that's a Halloween thing that's in the window over there. Or and now too, usually I don't have that big light on, so you're seeing all of our reflection too.
What did you do?
Did he do something? Sorry, too many dogs. Laura says, have a good night, ladies. I am going to try to get an episode or two in. Good night. Good night. Lynn says, MaM2.
Look who's in my messenger.
What's that? I don't know how to use your messenger. No. I'm not seeing. I'm only seeing this feed of the questions on here.
No, the bubble.
No, I can't see who that is. I don't know who that is. Oh, God.
Yeah, I'll deal with that later. I'll deal with that later.
Fuck her. All right, so Lynn says, MaM2 was basically explaining the previous documents filed. As KZ says, it's not over, it's only beginning, therefore there is more coming in the next file. Right, Lynn. Lynn, for those that don't know who Lynn is like, she knows everything about this case and other cases connected, and she is like the sane supporter, that Lynn is really she's really smart, and she's not influenced by any bullshit. She doesn't care about the drama. She's truly here for the wrongfully accused, and wants to help these families and all that. So Lynn is where you're going to get it straight on what it is, and that's it. So and that's what the description of this season said, that it was going to be following the post-conviction process. So you always knew going in that this was going to be about all the filings that both sets of lawyers are doing. The thing that we weren't sure about going in is if all the drama bullshit that's been around too, if that was going to be in there. So
I'm very proud that the producers left the majority of it out.
Correct. Because I actually was worried that I was going to be portrayed badly, that I was going to be made into being a monster that Carla and Barb and Scott try to make me into. So I'm much happier that none of that's been in there at all, so I don't have to take a further hit. Even though it's sometimes fun to play with those hits.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Nancy Drew says, we saw that press conference in Milwaukee. Totally right on that being grounds for a mistrial.
So good.
Isn't it awesome?
Oh, it's so good.
And it doesn't taste like alcohol. It's something I will drink.
Yeah. You want one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yay, she's drinking with me.
Kim says, I wondered that about Kratz and the press conference was a clear violation of Stephen Avery's rights. There's an article that I wrote. Let me see if I can find it. So one of the things that they showed in there was when Nyrider and Drizzen had a thing at their law school. And I went to that, and then I wrote an article on it. And so Richard, I can't remember his name, Dvorak.
Yeah.
He goes in depth at that on how that press conference is like from start to finish fucking illegal. And so I wrote the stuff that he said. Let me see. And it's on freebrendan.org somewhere. Oh, that's oral arguments is the first thing on there. I don't want that one. Oh, I guess I can scroll in here. David says, Happy Halloween. Yeah. Nancy Drew says, the coroner, that was a big shock for me. Well, all right, here's the thing on the coroner that maybe y'all haven't heard, and if Lynn is still here too, she can correct me if I'm wrong on this. But there's another case, Ricky, a boy who was walking home and he was hit by a car. And there was a sheriff's get together or something at a local restaurant bar or whatever. And there's my boyfriend coming home from work. There was a sheriff something or another at a restaurant bar. And so somebody was like rushing to that scene or whatever, and they ran over the kid again. And so that coroner was told, make sure you put in your report that that boy was dead before he was run over. And her response was, if that's what the evidence shows, that's what my report will say. So she wasn't going to lie. And then she was blacked out of Stevens. David says, Nancy, they were so strict to keep coroner out because once in, they can't control. That's the only time they use the conflict of interest card, right? Kim says, I would love to read your article. Can you post it? Yeah, I'm trying. Well, Amy's now outside. I'm trying to find it on Free Brendan. I don't remember where it is on here. Maybe updates. It's freebrendan.org are all my articles. I'm scrolling through to find. Not that one, not that one. Hello. Where is it? Okay, sorry. I'll keep looking, but Amy's not here to talk to you all while I'm trying to do that, so. Nope. Oh, there it is. There it is. What's that here? I just now finding on Free Brendan my article of the
recap.
Mm-hmm. So somewhere in there is where he said it. Okay, nothing else after then. You can see as I'm just scrolling through here too, if I can find it. Ooh, also in here I've got the stuff that they tried to get removed. Yeah, so Drizzen said there are 3 facts not widely known about this case. Law enforcement are supposed to hold back some facts of the case from a suspect. Brendan was not interrogated on February 28th. What happened on the 28th? A report, Exhibit 91, came from the crime lab that said Teresa Hallback was shot in the head. So they needed Brendan to give them that fact. Also, the battery in the RAV4 was disconnected and Teresa's belongings were in a burn barrel. So this article originally said that about this exhibit for shot in the head. And when I wrote this article, nobody had ever heard that before, ever. And so then I was getting shit from people saying I'm just talking shit, and that's not true. And so Drizzen saw that, and then he sent me the actual exhibit so I could go back in and put it in and prove that that's actually was. So that was a cool thing. Nancy Drew says, oh my God, but why would the judge go along with taking the coroner off the stand? How was it a conflict of interest? If the coroner was on the stand, I'm sorry, I don't get it. Because which judge is that? Which judge was that?
No.
Was it Fox? I can't
remember. The one with the glasses, the bald one.
Because these people are all intertwined too. So
Stevens. Fox was Fox Brendan's?
Oh
Yes.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
To me, it sounds like honestly the judge knew what was going on from the beginning. So Judge Fox was part of their hunting group. So that was Brendan's lawyer.
Hey, hon. We were talking about ordering pizza.
Well, quit talking about it and do it.
Well, you would have to order pizza.
So we're talking,
Jesse doesn't.
you're talking about me ordering pizza.
Well, we told
Well,
No, we
Jesse.
involved, really.
Jesse came in here bitching she was hungry, but she said she can't drive. I said, well, you can order, and then she
You can't drive. Oh, 10 vehicles in the driveway. Pick one.
she can drive your
You can drive
vehicle.
most of them.
She can drive mine.
Um, Gordon says the last Making a Murderer didn't explain what happened to her, but now CZ, I'm going to assume KZ, has connected the dots. That's going to make a lot of people nervous. It's only a matter of time before someone starts looking for a way out, and that means a deal. I can't wait to see who's it going to be. Any guesses who it's going to be? Well, Gordon, I've said Scott Blodorn. It would be so easy for Scott to come forward that they planted the car there and get immunity. You know, that'll be given to you.
No, but we did think about sending flowers to the coroner.
Yeah.
We did. We felt really bad for her, but honestly, you should have grew some balls and stood up.
Yeah.
You knew injustice was being done, and your job ethically was to stand up for that justice, and you didn't. So, I feel bad for her because her own colleagues were doing that to her, but
Mhm. Yeah. David says, bet ex-boyfriend ends up missing. Cops will be like, must have all been him.
I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I don't think Manitowoc can do that now that MAM has exposed so much, because if one of these people goes missing, can you imagine what will happen to the media?
Right. Kim says, Fox was the judge, and I wonder if he's in on it too.
Well, do we have the picture of Fox with Bobby and Scott?
Oh, yeah, that is him, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because Judge Fox belongs to the same hunting club that Scott and Bobby do.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, look, he went ding. Lynn is talking to Nancy, saying, Nancy, because the bones were looked at by another anthropologist and coroner, even though the bones were removed from the scene to be looked at. And Willis is as ignorant as the rest in the system of corruption.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is.
Nancy said it did seem like the judge was in with KK at all. Mm-hmm. David says send a pizza to Manitowoc County Sheriff's
They don't
Office.
deserve a Chicago-style pizza. No. They can get Little Caesars.
Yeah. Kim says somebody is going to turn on the real killer. It's a matter of time.
It is. Whoever comes first will probably get the immunity. So they need to think about that.
Well, here's the thing.
KZ
All right.
will protect them. If that's her...
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I was surprised, unless it's in the little bit that I haven't seen yet, that it didn't show Kathleen's full recreation, showing that Scott and Bobby did this together, which also then just gets me going, okay, well, now, if that happened, like she says, well, what's the motive in that? Because in everything else, it's because Bobby is a Kratz. Maybe we should just change sexual pervert to just be Kratz. So Bobby's a Kratz, a sexual deviant, and became obsessed with this woman and is going to rape her. Who cares? She just wants you to talk to her because she wants to feel like she's included in Making a Murderer. Because you were on the episode. What was I saying now? Oh, so if it's not some sexual Kratz deviant thing gone wild, why did they target Teresa and kill her and then temporarily bury her at Cuss Road? And then so that brings you back to, was it a hired hit?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, but then it also goes to who actually killed her. If it's Bobby and Scott together, one of them could turn on the other depending on who's the one that actually pulled the trigger. So the other one should turn and get their immunity. Lynn says, amen, Amy. I feel the same way about everyone who kept the dirty secret, sadly.
Yeah.
David said, they will say he ran, and they know now that burn barrel is a bad idea. That's something that also never makes any sense. So if you're going to say Stephen did it, why are you going to take her, Teresa, scatter her by Kuss Road? Then you've got parts of her here and parts of her there. But let's make sure we put some stuff back in Barb's burn barrel and in my burn barrel and in my fire. Let's make sure I keep this evidence close by our homes. That makes the most sense. You know, it would be one thing if you're not finding anything anywhere else, but you're finding it out there in the fucking the quarry. So why wouldn't you just leave it out there? Why would you then bring it back to your property?
True.
Dumb. Stephen's not that dumb. Sends pizza to Stephen and Brendan. You know, Chrissy says it didn't show it at all. Well, it did show the recreation, but it wasn't showing it because that's what I had said to Amy because she had never watched the YouTube version of it, and so like KZ's got the clock running in a top corner showing you how long all this actually took, where the thing that we saw in Making a Murderer didn't show that. And Amy's husband's joined saying it's all Amy's fault.
Oh, well, fuck you too, honey. It's all my fault. Yeah. Don't mind my husband. Get out of my group. Get out. Go. You don't belong here.
Jeff, don't look at though. She's an angel? Look at that. See that nice lighting she's got?
He wishes I was a fucking angel.
Oh. David said they needed to, but didn't have dogs on Manitowoc Quarry. Maybe Torso is on Scott property. Yeah, and I think this is the first time I've ever really looked at, oh my God, I'm feeling a buzz. How much did I drink?
One drink. Oh my God, you had like 4 sips. Seriously?
Yeah. I
You
don't drink
very often, yeah.
What was I saying now?
Oh no, we gotta go.
Oh, this is the first time I've really looked at that map and seeing just how close that quarry or the Kuss Road cul-de-sac is. So even when you're watching that recreation, and it seems like driving, but she's really just doing a circle and now coming back on the back side of the salvage yard. So that Kuss Road, I didn't realize too before that the Kuss Road was right by that deer lodge. That's the Rat Ant property. So it's like it's all still right there in line.
Yeah.
Mm.
Jeff, shut your mouth.
Oh, did you say something else? Amy on the grassy knoll. I thought she was in the library with the candlestick personally. Oh, I have a rude sense of humor. So ready? Should I say it? It was Amy with the vibrator.
I don't know if I do that to that. Might become my best friend here soon if my husband doesn't shut his mouth. Sorry, that's my sense of humor.
And now we're down to the bottom of all there. So how many on here? We only have 17 people that are on right now, one of which is her husband, who he hasn't watched Making Murder yet. So
what time is it though?
It is 9. I've never set that clock back.
Oh,
so
he goes
9.
back to work in about 4 minutes anyway. So,
yeah. So how many of you have watched the entire 10 episodes already? Everyone take a drink when someone says vibrator. And then David says, shots fired. Drink. This is,
now
I made
surrounding
this.
me.
It's green apple Moscato Sangria.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Me likey. You're grounded. Well, no, you're not grounded. Amy needs you to go to work and make some more money because we're going to go shopping.
Yeah, I'm in Chicago. You're in trouble.
Amy has, not this Amy, Amy
Yeah.
number 4061 we have on here. She's watched the whole thing. Kim has not. Luann's on episode 7. Lynn, me and a couple I watched twice. Rita's on 2nd episode. Corey has watched them all. Nancy has watched them all. Kim says cheers. Jeff says not me, duh.
I know. You told me you were waiting until I came home, and then we were going to watch it together.
Yeah, Jeff, wait till you see your part in it.
Go get him all paranoid. Will do.
Gordon says, what's amazing is that there was 2 crimes happening at the same time. One was Colborne and her ex planting the Jeep, and then there was Bobby and his stepdad getting rid of the body. And to think they were doing this nearly side by side and neither know about the other, it's mad. You're right. I've never thought about it that way. They were all doing this shit at the same fucking time.
Yep.
Christy, I know Chrissy's watched and she's ready to watch again. Jeff says, oh, fucking great.
I think that had to do with the shopping thing.
Nancy says, you guys make me miss Wisconsin. We're in Illinois.
I only go to Wisconsin for one reason, and that's if I ever get to visit Brendan again. That'll be the only reason.
Mars Cheese Castle.
Or maybe, that Carla plan. Oh, Carla, I love your stupid ass.
Jeff says, I try to remain anonymous, shake my head.
Then why are you on my group? Get out of here.
Is this some weird kind of flirting? Do we need to give you guys your own private room here right now?
No.
They are a couple states apart right now.
Yeah.
Oh, he says, okay,
Yep.
back to work, and he gave the finger.
Love you too.
Kim says, night guys, going to finish watching.
Somebody wants to see us drunk. We got to drink again.
Leanne says, I'm from Stevens Point. Isn't that by Brendan's Columbia Correctional? Isn't Stevens Point near that way?
I don't remember.
I think so. Or no. I always know I would go through Stevens Point. I have family that live in Wausau. I'd go through Stevens Point, and I would always also pass Columbia Correctional. So Stevens Point right over there.
I know.
Vibrator. Ew, love you, baby. Hey, hon. Jeff. Where'd he go? How dare he walk away when I was going to say a man is on here saying he loves me?
Great.
You are in there. Look,
Look,
come here. Look.
He's going to see
Some
the
man
name.
said love you, baby,
No,
to me.
yes.
I need to get to know you better.
Lynn says, enjoy the evening, ladies. I'm off to Twitterland.
Go, Lynn, go.
David said, can you look back on this tomorrow and know when it all fell apart?
What fell apart? What are you talking about?
Our threesome with your husband?
Ew, no. Nobody wants to have a threesome with my husband. No.
Oh.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
You're
Don't hurt
lucky
me.
he's
Now
gone
I
now.
might be grounded.
All right, so just 12 people on now. And we want pizza. She wants deep dish.
I want Chicago style deep dish. I'll pay for it. I
An
just.
hour and a half. Just so you know.
It might be quicker.
It's a Friday night, really?
It's closer to close. She has to have Chicago pizza.
What if I go pick it up and just have the other part delivered? Like 2 separate orders.
Well, like 45 minutes just to cook.
Order it anyway.
I started drinking. I can't really drive.
Yeah, he'll get it or have it delivered. So now KZ is filing something in December. Yes, December 20th is when it's scheduled as of now. But all this stuff always changes. Nancy is saying, okay, ladies, night from California.
Good night.
I guess we should go too, so we can finish this and then do nothing or possibly go to sleep. I have to be up at 6.
Yeah, the one night I got some sleep. She has to get up early. But yeah, I'll be sleeping too.
Mhm.
Late in the morning.
All right, so nobody else comment. All right, so then we are outie for today. I don't know if we'll pop back on tomorrow. Oh, just as Pam comes on, now we're leaving. Yeah, Pam's here. Let's go.
Hi, Pam. Yeah.
Hi and bye, Pam. So, all right, we're off to watch the rest of this and figure out where we're getting our Chicago pizza from. So,
I gotta have it while I'm here.
yeah. Have a good night, y'all.
Bye.